So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. I like it when a plan goes together. That looks like we have a live broadcast going, which is cool. I'm a little early, and that is also fine because I'd rather be early than late. So, we'll just have a little wait and see if some people come and join us. I think we've got a few coming in to watch us now. If someone could comment and let me know that they can see me and hear me. Hello, Faith. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hi, Joan. Thank you. It's lovely to see everyone. Cool. I'm assuming you can hear me. I'm in my conservatory. It's quiet at the moment, but there is a rainstorm due in across the Irish Sea, and it might get a little bit noisy if that happens and the rain hits my conservatory roof. But that's live. Thank you, Joan. That's lovely for you to let me know that. I always worry. Technology isn't my my favoured medium, although Anthony, who has just joined us, will tell me that I've mastered it. I'm not always so certain. Thank you for joining us, Anthony. Thank you, Barbara. I trust all is well in Hungary, which is lovely to see you. I will swap some cameras around in a minute so that the project takes centre stage, because that's what you're really here to see, rather than my ugly mugshot. But it's good, I think, to have lots of things to see and do, and so we know what's going on. That's interesting, because I don't think Facebook is updated on my phone, is updating all the notifications. So I'll apologise up front if I miss anyone's comments. Good evening, Sarah. I trust that you are feeling a little better. I know you've been poorly and life's not been very nice for you as a consequence. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, there are still some occasions when I struggle a bit, but that's fine. So I think it is now past 6 o'clock with a bit of luck. So if I pop that in, you can see both of us, and that's always a good sign. So we're going to be making a canvas this evening. You see I'm in a conservatory because that's just reflecting off the ceiling. Hi, Gail. So I've got a little canvas and I have no idea. It's just under A4 in size, so not huge. Good evening, Agnieszka. Thank you for joining us this evening. So I had to sort of reorganise what I was going to do, because Penta had asked me to do something different, and then that's got postponed a little bit. And such is life, isn't it, when you're a manufacturer? So yeah, so there we are. Let me just take that out of the way, and hopefully I won't hit anything while we're making. So I changed my project a few days ago when Penta updated their plans, and so we've got a canvas, and I'm going to use the Magic Forest collection by Stamperia for my make this evening. I love it, and of course Penta distribute it in some parts of the country of the world, and so they are happy for us to use the Stamperia products. Anthony, yeah, I know, but we can all live in fear. So I have a rice paper from the Magic Forest collection, and I am going to pop it onto my canvas. As I say, it's a little bit shorter than A4, but it's about the width of an A4 project. So all I'm doing now is I've got a nice soft brush, and I am adding some decoupage varnish and glue, and I've just picked the Silky Shine one, as I know I need to seal this in to place. Yes, I love it too. So let me hopefully just line that up there. If I line, so if I know I can line my canvas up pretty much on there. I'll give that a little rub down, and I know I haven't got glue over everything, and that is also fine. And I know I'm going to have a little piece that I will have to take out at some stage. There we go, there's my scissors. So that's okay. So let's just give that a little snip there and a little snip there. And then we can dot that over the sides. And I'm not going to worry hugely about that top piece at the moment, because I can take that out at another time. I think when you're gluing a big piece of rice paper, it pays to add it in your glue in layers, so that it just makes it easier for taking out any wrinkles that you might get along the way, because you can smooth it down. And of course there's lots of ways of doing that, but I just want a nice thin layer of my decoupage glue and medium to pop onto here, and we'll fold that round there. Okay, there we are. So that can go down, and I shall just smooth it down, getting rid of as many of the wrinkles as I can in the process. And I'm not going to worry hugely, because life's too short, and I'm going to add lots of texture over the top anyway, so it's not hugely going to matter, to be fair, if I get a few bits of wrinkles in. So let's just take those in, and I will disguise my edges at some stage with some paints and some mediums. So let's just take this, get rid of this, pop that end down there out of the way, because it's going to irritate me otherwise, and pop that in and there. Right, now I know I want to add some paints and mediums and possibly some antiquing stuff over the top of this, and so I'm going to make sure I have applied a good layer of my decoupage glue on the top of my rice paper, and that's going to seal it in place, because it's important, if you're adding mediums, that you know, particularly ones that you might want to ultimately wipe off and only leave in some places, that you have your rice paper completely sealed in. Otherwise your pretty colours on your rice paper become a bit like mud. And I'm being moderately careful to make sure that I am not just haphazardly applying my glue and varnish over the top. I am concentrating my marks going up and down the because then if any of them show ultimately when I've put the next layers on, then it's not going to look horrible. It's going to look as if it's all intentional, because it's going to be up and down throughout the whole of the piece, if that sort of makes sense to people. If you just squirrel it in every direction, and ultimately it can look a bit messy. So let me stick that into there, and we do, I'm afraid, need to do a bit of drying, because we've got a layer or so to add on to this. Hi Elaine. Hi Judy. Welcome to the live. So this is we're going to be using the Magic Forest, so we're just going to be building up one of the pieces I think I'm fairly well known for, which is a canvas with lots of layering, lots of use of moulds and some textures. For those of you that watch my own page, you'll know that I do lots of other paper crafty items as well. But this is what a format that I like very much. I'm going to make sure this is properly dry, because I want to add some glossy gel medium over the top, so that can dry whilst I am doing the painting. and I don't really want my stencil to stick on my glue in between things. There we are. So that is, it really doesn't take very long. I know that my piece is going to sort of sit mainly in the middle. I've got some papers to go here and some papers to go there, but I want to add some extra detail. So this is one of the pretty Stamperia stencils from the latest collection, and it's not quite the right size, but so we're doing a little bit of moving around, but that actually doesn't matter. There's my heavy pudding, because a lot of it isn't going to be showing. The edges where I'm mixing it up won't show, so that's what we're going to do. And I'm deliberately choosing a glossy gel, heavy body gel, because actually I don't want to lose the detail in my rice paper, but I do want to add some texture to it, and the glossy gel will protect the pieces underneath. So we're just going to add some bits around the place. As I say, we're not going to need it every which way, because we're not going to be seeing it every which way. So we'll just add it in areas. I know that pretty much looks like I've got it everywhere, but I haven't. We don't need a thick, long piece of it. And have I put a bowl of water next to me this evening? No, because I wasn't feeling brilliantly well earlier on today, so we're a bit disorganised, but that's okay. So I'll shuffle that in there. Let me just grab a baby wipe, and I can at least wrap my stencil up so I don't ruin it. And then park that on the floor next to the heater, so it will let me pop that down onto the floor. That can sit there to dry then with the heater on top of it, and we will pop this up onto here, wipe the worst of it off, and that hopefully will mean that I don't have a ruined stencil at the end of the live, because that's a rather pretty stencil, and actually that's the fact. Save baby wipes before the government bans them. Yeah, but you know, you can use a cloth, Anthony, and water, and then wash it off, can't you? It's just, you know, it's very convenient to do that. Hi Teresa, thank you for joining us. My live this evening's got upended because, as you know, a product that I was going to be demoing today got moved to another day. So I've had to improvise and come up with a different project. But my next one will have some lovely decoupage cream papers attached to it. So I did promise that I would be using papers from the collection. These come from the 8x8 paper pad. Time to rearrange. You know, it has been rearranged, darling. It's the Wednesday after product launch. Oops, am I giving secrets in the way? No, I think there's been some few promos, and I'm not going to spoil the game by telling anyone what the new things that they've been giving, Pentacolor been giving sneaky peeks of are. But you'll just have to wait. Suffice to say, they're beautiful, and I love them, and I love what I've done with them. So hello Elizabeth. So I've taken these elements out of one of the pages of the 8x8 pad, and I'm just going to give the edges a little bit of an ink. You know, it's the usual problem, isn't it? You know, double-sided papers. What do you do? Am I using that? Am I using that? Well, I'm mixing it up, and I'm using some backgrounds and some of the other. Yeah, I know I'm a tease, but that's what life's about, isn't it? I have a permanent ink pad that I've just used there, so to ink the edges of those pieces. So, yes, we're drying nicely, and my feet are cooking. That's always good. So I have cast from resin, fast cast resin, some pieces from the frames mould, and from, I think this is the icons mould. Anyway, I've got some leaves, I've got a lock, I've got a key, and I've got one of the little gargoyle creatures that sit on lots of ancient but old buildings in the UK. And I have already, because waiting for paint to dry is a nuisance, primed these with some of the gesso primer paste. I just thought it would be much easier to do that ahead of time. Hi Mary, hi Jax, thank you for joining us. So let me grab some paints, because why not? And I'm quite a literal person, so what do I have? I have the matte acrylic in pine green. We have the matte acrylic in thorn. There we are, which has been opened before. And I have matte acrylic in olive. Nice to see me working in daylight. Why no? But you know, I go live on several pages, and one of them's always much later in the evening. But it is a beautiful day, and so for those of you that are aware, I do not profess to be the most patient of individuals, nor do I profess to want to spend hours painting every detail on something, and so I don't. The joy of painting is you can do what you want, and by mixing my colours on the pages, I will get on my resin pieces themselves, I will get multi-tonal leaves, which is much more in keeping with nature anyway, fairly quickly, which to me is always an added bonus. You know, as I say, we don't, you know, things aren't all the same, are they? So there we are. We'll just mix these, and because I'm using wet paint and I'm putting wet onto wet, they will mix beautifully together, and I can get lots of shading in my make. So I think I might like a little bit more of the darker green over on that side. So very quickly you can see that you will then build an interesting colour mix, but without having to really spend ages painting every last nook and cranny. Now, I have to be fair and say that there are some molds in this collection where painting every nook and cranny is of benefit. The beautiful face mold is one of them, and so is the wonderful door, though I do have a trick even for that. And I'm trying to be good this evening because, as you can, I'm actually not dipping, although I'm mixing on my resin pieces. I'm trying definitely not to mix my it directly into my pieces. I'll have yucky sticky mucky hands at the end of this, but so be it. That bit life is, yeah, it is part of, yeah, whatever we're doing. And then you can mix and match, but you can see that actually this is quite a quick way, I think, of just building colour and interest without everything all being the same. And then we've got these little oak leaves with the acorns, and I'm not going to paint the acorns separately because I don't particularly want it to be obvious that that's what they are. It doesn't really matter, but that's just the way I feel about the acorns on this occasion. But this mold, I think, is uber usable because these leaves will look fab for autumn projects just as much as they will do for the Magic Forest projects, and also for, you know, summer projects, because you can use the leaves all year round. So let's just pop that one into there, and we will swap our colour palette ultimately, because I don't want it all to be greens, for obvious reasons, because it would be a bit boring, and actually then the layers won't show so very well. So that's the plan, is to do it like that. Hi Maddie. Yeah, I think plastic free is good, but globally, Sarah, I do think it's a good idea if we can avoid the amount of stuff going into landfills, because even if they're plastic free, they're made out of a material, they've still got to disintegrate. Cellulose ones that disintegrate more quickly would be cool, but I'm not too, I think they might be a little while in the coming. There we are. So let me shuffle that into there, grab a baby wipe, mop me face. Oops, I'm sorry, Judith. Well, let's hope that your hand heals soon, because that would really be very, very good. Very good indeed. There we are. There we are. Yeah. So that's that one on. That's that one. Those can go there. That can go there. Excuse me while I just mop the green off my hands, because we're about to swap to a different colour palette. I do have a pot of water in front of me, ladies. I'm not abandoning my brushes to be ruined, because that clearly wouldn't be good fun. But they can sit and dry. Yeah, Anthony, if any of you don't follow Anthony, then I suggest that you should have a look at his work. He has posted I think probably yesterday, a make that he has done using the A5 impression mold with as a box lid, that you have the one that looks like or has been used a lot for journal covers, or for so yeah. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with the gate, the door, and also the face. I've done my project. I've done a project with both of those too, but you'll have to watch this space to see what I've done with them, because again, I'm being naughty and I'm teasing, because that's just the way I roll tonight. So complete change, as I wanted some color texture changes and sort of yes, and some textural changes along with it, and some shades. So I didn't want everything to be flat. I wanted to add a metallic element. So I have the acrylic paint metallic in antique copper. For those of you that have the Penta Buster Paint Effect kit, it is one of the paints that's in that kit. So because I just think that keyhole plates and things are generally made out of metal. It's not, it won't stay exactly this colour, but I just think it's a good way, it's a starting point. And I am, as I said earlier, quite literal in my approach to life when I'm working. I wouldn't say I lack imagination, but I definitely am fairly literal in how I put things together. And if something's meant to be one thing, it's going to stay that. It's not very often you'll see me do a bright pink leaf, for example, because to me that's not logical. But I admire the ladies who can do that, because it's clearly, everything is possible in our own imaginations and in our own eyes. So there we are. Okay. Don't worry, Philip, it'll be saved on the Pentart page and also on the Pentart YouTube channel, which is a fabulous resource. So if you have, it can be picked up at any time that you want, which is always cool. So let me just finish doing this. Hope I haven't splattered my leaves too much, which wouldn't be the intention, but would be quite possible for my activities when I'm working one on top of each other. And as I say, these keep their. I think I've used stuff off a couple of the molds. There's 3 in the set, all available via Pentart or Dekomagia, Pentacolor even. So you can then pick the one that you want to work with, and the only I love the Pentart metallic waxes, Sarah, and yes, they are going to be out in action imminently. Well, not quite imminently, but they will be. So we're going to be layering leaves with the leaves at the bottom on top of the papers. We're going to put the lock and the key on the top, and then we have got, let's say, one of these, what I believe should be a stone piece, and I'm sort of not wanting it to be cold white, so I've actually picked an ivory paint because it's softer than white. And none of these are going to stay these colours. They're all going to get a little bit of distressing added, in various ways adding to them. So we will be getting the heat gun out in a minute. Now then, my husband went out to collect my daughter early from work, as we know that she's got a broken arm, so we're taxi service at the moment, and she was finishing early. Then my helpful son phoned because he wanted collecting because it was chucking it down, so dispatched them to go and collect them each en route to each other. And I bet they've all forgotten that I'm live tonight. So if they come in and barge in, I do apologise because I think they should be about to hit home fairly soon. So, Joan, the collections are still available in lots of places, my darling. So when you're feeling better, have a little look around. But there are several shops in the UK that have them, and several who I think will get them in for you if you ask. So you don't need to worry. I think it has proved very, very popular. So I know that a couple of the shops that have sold out have got them on reorder as well. I now need these to dry. And one of the good things about Pentart products is, of course, that they do dry relatively quickly. Cool. But I do need these paints to be properly dry, not just a surface dry, because of what I'm going to be doing next. I don't think you can do mixed media and not end up with having to do some drying. Or you have to have everything prepped in threes and you do one stage, put it aside, pick up the next, that bit that's dried, and then do the next one. And then I'd end up with masses of bits left over. And then we'd have to think of another project to use them, which is not. Yeah, Cindy from Miniature Luxuries in the States is a fabulous supplier, isn't she, of Stamperia products. But Teresa, I think you can probably order them directly from Pentart if you wanted them, because they can supply them for you. I have to say that I like, this is a mix, and sometimes it's nice to be able to mix scrapbooking papers and decoupage papers together. And of course, your fabulous store, Decoupage Queen and the Royal Courts, allow you to do all of that, which is great. So yes, I know you did a live with Cindy the other day, didn't you? And again, ladies, if you're wanting to watch these, then the Miniature Luxuries do a live most Sundays, so it's for different people, but again, worth watching. So there aren't Pentart lives on those days, so that's not any conflict to say that. Let me get these properly. It's the gold one that just feels slightly tacky still. I've got the blog post I did today, which is on my page that I did with the 12 by 12s, and I have another big canvas piece done, and the piece I did on Dawn Bibby Creations live last Friday as well. That is fabulous. I know from conversations I've had with Cindy in the past that she was wanting to have Pent Art because it is such a fabulous brand of mediums. So we're now going to do a little bit of distressing. I'm just going to turn that one around a little bit. And we have all sorts. We've got some Lesurr gels. Now, the Lesurr gels are really intended as a stain. But, you know, just because it says it's meant to be used as a stain doesn't really mean that it absolutely has to be. These other Lesurr gels are permanent once dry. They will stain wood beautifully, but I quite often use them for distressing things and adding detail. I'm not sure that paint's completely dry at the side, so we'll be a little bit more careful. But in the same way as you use, yes, not as you would use the antiquing paste or patina umbra, then these will work beautifully to add another layer to your makes. So you just need to be moderately careful with lifting the stuff off, but you can wipe this back. I don't want to be too aggressive. But because I don't think the paint is cured all the way through underneath. Once the paint is cured all the way through, then actually it's fine to be a little bit more aggressive with your baby white. But you don't want to be rubbing. It's lifting gently rather than taking too much off. But this way, I've now got another layer of colour and all of the vein texture is now on display, and I just want to take out just a little bit more. You can take out as little or as much as you want, and this is the joy of creating for yourself, isn't it? So that's that one. So this is, what one am I doing? I am using the Country Green Lesurr gel for this one, but I'm going to get others out in a minute for different things, and I will be swapping because I can. There we are. So I think it's a fab thing to do with it, Maddie. You know, that it works beautifully staining wood, and I love it. And of course, because it's a gel, or these are gels, you can add faux wood graining to plain wood boards as well. But I do think that it actually is really good, and it just increases the color ranges. And I like product to work hard. If it's in my craft room, I'd like to be able to use it in more than one way, really. There we are. So it just does. I'm going to have to get rid of this baby white because it's getting too full of yuck. So, but I could just as easily be using the antique gels, except that they come in slightly different colours, and I wanted a paler green, and I didn't want an ochre. So this one I've now picked up is the ivory, and again it's softer than the white, and hopefully again it will help bring out the details. I could squiggle it into all the places. And I don't recommend that you use a really good brush for this, because you really do want to push the colour into all of the nooks and the crannies. If you miss a bit, it does show. So having some older brushes that you don't mind scrubbing in, into things, is quite a good thing to have. That. I thank you, Judith. The mould is fabulous. There is no question about it. The mould is fabulous. And the adding, there we are. adding the gels makes a huge difference to them. And you can see, you know, I've got a completely different effect between the country green and the ivory. And if you want to mix your colours up, then, you know, scoop it out onto a surface, mix them together, and then you can, you know, custom pick your colours by just mixing them together. There we are. So let's stick that in there. The eagle-eyed will have noticed I've got the ebony, and it will give a slightly grey tone to the next piece. There we are. So, there we are. Now let's just clean these mucky mitts of my fingers, because otherwise we're going to have green on a piece that I want to look like old sort of stone. I don't particularly want it to look like it's covered in moss, though that would be a look. It would absolutely be a look. Right, there we are. So let's just take the Lacer, which it describes as ebony, but it's actually, I think, it's a really dark grey. If I wanted it paler than that, I could mix it with some of the white antiquing gel, but I'm going to settle with this because it's there, and on the surface it will definitely look like a dark grey rather than a black, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think you can. So if you compare my top, which is black, with the antiquing gel, I think you can see that they are, you know, it is more, it definitely has an element of grey in it rather than it being purely pure white. So there we are. So now I think I have an old stone effect. There we are. If I bring that up. So simple, so easy, quick, yeah, and efficient. Doesn't take a lot. All the detail in that mould brought out by showing the depths of it. And I can take off as much as I want. There we are. So the black will get everywhere, because black does get everywhere, doesn't it? Whatever you do, black gets everywhere. It is, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I like it. Ebony as a wood is gorgeous. They are very, very, very versatile. Now then, we've got greens, we've got greys, we've got metal. But I don't want it to stay looking pristine, because none of the rest of my project is going to be pristine. So I have swapped to my beloved antiquing gels, because these are more patina coloured, but they will do the same job. So there we are. And I'm going to be very naughty, and I'm just going to randomly mix these together, and I am going to mix between the pots, because that way I'm going to get shades and tones, and that's the look I prefer, rather than it all being the same colour. And am I being overly generous? Yeah, probably, but hey ho. These pots I have had for, well, since the range came out, so that's, you know, a good over plus year ago, and I use them an awful lot. So now all I'm going to do is white back. So this is going to leave me the greens and the blues in the depths of my piece, and bring out all of the texture. There we are. There we are. Yeah, I put them all sometimes in the freezer as well, because I think that helps. So that just, for me, that just works, and I rather like it. So why not? Yeah, we'll get rid of that, and we can pop that there. Right, let's lid these before. So that is the patina blue and the patina green. Oh, she says putting the lid in the bin. Let me retrieve it. And then I'm going to do some deck clearing because I now have product every which way and no room to work, because that's the way the cookie crumbles. She says, drop that lid was on there, and we'll have a little mop down. So I think that really does. So ivory and the ebony, the ivory cream matte acrylic paint and the ebony, the makes for a really, definitely old stonework things. I've got my aged copper pieces here. Those are going to be the same, but I'm going to add, because I want to link these pieces with the plate, I've got a mixture of gold and copper wax here. So this is the Pentacolor metallic wax, and I am going to just add just a touch of it, again, right on the surface, and you can see it just adds an extra layer of detail. And I could just as easily have added copper. I have got the copper out, but I think I'm going to stick with the gold rather than adding another colour into it. And that means I'm not covering up the details and I'm not covering up all of the green, but I am muting the green slightly and making the whole effect a little softer. So that's going there, that's going there. So those are pieces there. Right, eeny meeny. Cool. So for those that you weren't here at the beginning, I don't know how well this is going to show up on air. Let me just give, I think it's reasonably dry. Let me just tilt it. So see where it's shiny up in this corner? That's where the glossy gel has dried. There we are, I can see it there. Yep. Oh, I can see it on my screen. Yeah, there. If I hold it there, you can see there's detail that's glossy, but I can still see through. And I want to age it a little bit. So I have got a cream cracker brush, because why not? That's the one I want. I just keep a set of pots with it, and I have Umbra patina here. Okay, and I am going to now quite merrily swizzle this over everything. And remember, I've protected the sides of my canvas, the top of my canvas anyway, with the decoupage glue and varnish, so I can see everything. But and this is going to be very brown, Anthony. Yes, brown, Anthony. I know, criminal, isn't it? But it does have a face. It's really not going to stay very brown. It has to be said. It is going to get a jolly good white back. But what will happen is that the surface will have been aged a little bit, but the wax in these will sit in and close to all of the detail of the stencil, and it will just add just another layer of interest to it. Yes, you can see. If I bring it up there, you can see here where I've got the stenciling. So it will be subtle, and it's not staying like that. And of course, if you don't like it, you can, take some white spirits. You'll be doing both. Anthony and I have a standing joke. So the background, the background where the gel has been protected. There we are. So those colours where they are bright underneath will be protected. And I've just changed the tones of the colours of the paper where I've got it. So if I lift that up, there we are. You can see now where I've got my stenciling. It'll be hit harder here because it's brown onto the brown, but I've got all of my stencil detail added across my piece. There we are. So it's just, and I haven't got a huge amount of the brown showing, and I can now antique the edges of that so it's less obvious. I will add some blue to that so it's less obvious, but I'll do that later on. So what we're going to do, ladies, we are going to, and gentlemen, of course, because that was very rude of me. So we've got one. I think that's going to go down there. That's going to go down there. That's going to go down there. There we are. I clearly didn't get lots of my varnish down there. So that is approximately in the middle. That's going to sit there. And I'm going to take my glasses off because I feel like it. And I have some glue. There we are. So that's just, and remember, I took these and I've already pre-inked the edges of these. So I think I'm going to do that because I want that. So although that image is meant to be like that, on my piece, I'm going to pop it like this. They are completely must-have products, Agnieszka. You are completely right. So that is going just off the top. This one, which has a word on it, because I like words, is going to sit just vertically down from it. So eyeball that and just up from the bottom. And now, just need to pop these sort of where I'm wanting to be, so I know that I'm not going to be hiding too much. So my lady is going to overlap over there. And my gate, my door handle, which goes in with the theme, is going to sit there. And they're approximately the same distance apart on the page, and they are reasonably upright. So, heavy body gel. Ladies, and you, Anthony. Yes, and of course, how dare I forget and you. Now then, bear with while I just grab. There we are. So, I'm just going to add a good dollop of that and pop that so I avoid her nose, because that would not be completely cool. That is going to sit into there. I've got two of these. Which conveniently sits into there. So this is about getting your clay pieces out and then just working out how they will tessellate together in a style that's pleasing for you. There we are. So that's going into there. Now then, ladies, do remember that the Pentart Heavy Body Gel is opaque, or can be opaque when it's dry. So if you've got big splodges, then it's worth lifting them off. That one's not going to show. let's just add some good globs of that. So that piece is going to sit on there, almost in the middle of my canvas. This piece, the key, is going to sit into there, and my stone piece is going to sit on there. Clay is nicer though, especially when you want to decorate around objects. Clay is very good when you want to decorate around objects. That is very, very true. Now then, would it be me without a splatter? Probably not. So let me just get, oh, there she says, stop knocking a candle. So I've now got, I'm just going to take some of my antique gel there, work on my face and water, pop that into there. So all I've done is mix my antiquing gel with a little bit of water, because I can now add, that will be some splatters, because why not? And the splatters will link, she says, avoiding the lady's face, all of the layers together. There we are. And we might, and I could add some gold, but I'm not going to. I'm going to add some black, actually. Come on. I don't think I've quite got that piece of paper straight. That will irritate me long term, but hey ho. And this is just some black Pentart acrylic matte paint. Glad you approve, Agnieszka. I'm glad you approve. Your work is stunning. And we can just add a little bit of black splatter. And I'm not going to add any sparkle because I don't want sparkle on it. So, ladies and gentlemen, because we cannot forget our male crafters, here is our finished piece for the day. So I hope you like it. Not difficult. Yes, it's about layering, but broken down step by step. I think I have a lovely piece that I really enjoy. The layering, the contrast, the details. And as I say, we've used the rice papers and we've used the 8x8 paper pad. And if you watch on my page, which is Gill Humhprey or the Crafty Surgeon, or if you go onto Instagram and look for the Crafty Surgeon or at Gill Not, then bit by bit you will see the other projects that I have been making with this collection. This piece I will photograph in the next few days and will post on both Pentart Decor, which is the group for posting inspiration for Pentart. Please put your projects on there if you've used Pentart products, and also on my pages as well. So, and that is all for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I hope you will have a good Easter holiday. Bye for now.